For me, manifestation, as I've seen it, is it can be called manifestation, it can be prayer, it can be goal setting, it can be working towards a goal, it can be wish fulfillment, it can be your dream, it can be any of those things. These are interchangeable words. Manifestation in this modern era is about, and for many people, tangible material things: a home, money, finances, resources, a husband, a wife, kids, that traditional life or the ancient life for some, a long life, beautiful body, clothing, such things, food. For me, my prayers to God, which you may call manifestations or goal setting or dreams, my deepest dreams, even as a teenager, even as a child, and they have remained the same even through my 20s and up until now, were emotional and spiritual. I prayed to God to help me see the things that I don't see. That's the prayer I used to say. God, let me know what I know I don't know. That's what I would pray as a teenager. It led me to knowing things about my family and clans that I had never expected. Secrets that had been buried. Secrets that slowly eroded my trust, which had already been eroded, which explained a lot of things. I prayed for clarity to see the way, because I didn't know what to do as a teenager, as a child. In my 20s, the prayers remained of the same variety and spice. I'll pray to God, why am I not loved? God, please let somebody love me. And I would always say, why do my parents not love me? And I would always pray that they would be healing within our family. And I would pray that there would be healing within our clan. I was in my 20s, 21, when I nearly died, praying these prayers, these manifestations. I prayed for healing for myself because I realized something was wrong and I didn't understand what. And so the first time I went to see a psychiatrist, I was 21, and I nearly died at that age. Over those years, up until now, there have been many tower moments, painful moments. But all of these were the answers to my prayers. They were the clarity that I sought. What is my father's opinion of me and this family? What is his plan? What does he want? And I finally found the answer. And after very many years, at the age of 29, I made peace with it and I let him go. I let him go emotionally, having had what I wanted, because I did not want his money, I wanted him. And he wanted to give me money. He didn't want to give me himself. And I made peace with that. And still the yearning for love and the prayer I had made remained inside of me, and I would pray it, I would cry. Over these many, many years, I didn't see any change. This was 2014. I didn't see any change. Up until very recently, in 2024, a 10-year cycle that broke and changed. The emotional things that I had prayed for began to manifest. The emotional healing, the separation from toxic family members. I had been to therapy for that 10 years. Nobody else had. Nobody in my whole clan, extended family, no one. they would talk about me like I was a pariah. Like, why can't you just heal? Why can't you stop? Why can't you let go? Why can't you forgive? You're obsessed. This from my own parents and mother. But in my heart, I still prayed the prayer to be loved, because there was money, but there was no love for me. I realized eventually that I had been born into a nightmare. I had been born into a clan, extended family, paternal and maternal, with intense emotional wounds from whatever. But these wounds had perpetuated themselves for the past 5 cycles or more. It is only that the people who are alive remember the past 5 generations from 18 something up until now. I have a genealogy. All of these people, as I hear their stories, I can see clearly that they are me. They had a clinical depression that never healed. And I realized of myself that even in 2014, when I thought I was better, I was not. When I had the medication and healing, I had healed. I had a clinical depression that was a very long one. It had begun because I remember as a child in primary, I remembered the pain. I had migraines, and those migraines went away and they came back when I was 17. So I realized I had been carrying a long-standing depression for nearly 30 years of my life, minus my early childhood, or perhaps the early childhood was when it became to manifest. But the nightmare was this. My parents are people who I realized had been carrying the same thing. Long before I was born, each of them had already been in a clinical depression and had been carrying it and are still carrying it. They could not give me the love that they knew nothing about because they had not experienced it. And the nightmare expanded because when they described their parents and grandparents, they told me a story of people who also, at my age, as children, developed a clinical depression that just never healed and went undiagnosed. My paternal family has substance abuse issues, drinking, smoking, sex, addiction. My maternal family has migraines and a substance abuse of pain pills, including myself. I did not think it was a substance abuse because I only use it for when I'm on my menstrual cycle. But the problem is this: the pills that I use are incredibly dangerous. I take something called an opiate. An opiate is a type of pill that does not have what is called a cap. When you take ibuprofen and it's written 450 milligrams on the cap, on the bottle, even if you take 10 of them, your body is going to metabolize only 450 milligrams. It will destroy the rest. But opiates are not the same. They break down into morphine in your mind. If you take 10 of them, you have taken 10 times the dose. And that's what I would do because I was in such pain. And I have been to a doctor for the menstrual cycle issues, and they're still healing. But I came to realize in my own way, I had become my mother and my grandmother. My great-grandmother, she was this person apparently who would always say, "My child, if you can just give me painkillers," and she would take them every day. You understand, this person was already sick. I don't take the painkillers simply because of the pain. They have a numbing effect on my emotions. And I suspect this is why my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother on my mother's maternal side took what they took. The violence in my maternal side, that is my mother's my mother's father, that side was insane. My great-grandfather is described as having a madness and insanity. And I realized it was inherited, and it has been. It needed a healthcare professional. There was no way I nor any of my family members could simply have survived this world. And the fact that we have is absurd, a miracle, and serendipitous. I forgive my family because I realize who they are. They are me, but without the tenacity to heal. But I have that. For myself and for them. To them, I have looked like a weirdo. But as of this year, in 2026, I seem to be their hero. Finally, they begin to see that there must be a change, and why, and what it takes to make that change. Because when I was going through whatever I was going through, they would witness me and maybe talk about it. But now that they are in exactly the same place, for indeed nearly all of them are suffering what I am, now they realize they must begin where I began. And still, the manifestations that I thought would never happen are happening. For my mother to give me the love that I needed, the support that I wanted. I'm so shocked that in this year she is. I realized God was listening all along, and it took a long time. But it is happening. And she is healing in order to give me the love that she could never have given me, because she didn't have it. But now she's learning, and she's not defensive, and she's healing. Because she has to heal the madness of her father and grandfather, of which the potency is probably more pronounced in her than it is in me, because I am not fully from her clan. I am fully from my own father. I'm partially from my own father, who is also a person whose family had that insanity, those people who were unhealthy mentally. So my story to you is that I have been healing since February up until now. I've been on psychiatric medication in a private psychiatric firm. Don't have shame to go there. Even if you feel like you're just saying something small to the doctor, they are the ones who will assess whether you need to, and it is not shameful. Nobody has the right to shame you over using medication, or even to ask you. They must support you. Dear viewer, I support myself as I support you in healing. We are a planet, races that have gone through war and death and genocide. You would not believe the genocide in my own clan, but indeed it was there. We don't just heal because we continue breathing. We need help. Use all of the tools that exist now, including the one of being shameless. Do not have shame that you are ill. You didn't make yourself like that. And the strength to heal should be an icon. It should make you an icon. As I'm an icon of my own life, the hero in my own life. And my mother has been the hero in my life. She thought she was taking me to therapy to fix this broken thing. But indeed, the therapists have always said, a child who is broken is that mirror of a family that is broken. And she never wanted to have that family issue dealt with up until this year. You can imagine what it takes to wait nearly 12 years for somebody to begin to seek help while they're constantly blaming me. But I withstood it. And my answer is, one day, whatever manifestation or prayer you have said out there will come to be true. For whatever reason, things take time. Maybe because we would not be able to handle them, they would hurt. Send your prayer out into the world. Whether you are a Christian or not, it's not about you and your belief. The cosmos believes in you, in your atheist or agnostic self. It does not require you to be a church member. It brought you here without a religion, and it will listen to you in your irreligious nature. all you need to do is to ask. Finally, manifestations can be emotional and spiritual. Prayer can be about emotional things in your family, just as the healing has begun in my own. Perhaps you want that in your own family. And you have a right to it.